marry me. My name, biologically, is Christian, although for what I would like to think are obvious reasons, I go by Thodwin in the Wiccan and pagan community. Now before I start, let me just say, this video is in no way, shape, or form meant to be any sort of conversion device, argument starter, or anything of the sort. For those of you looking to start an argument, please refer to a different video because it annoys the living bad words out of me. Find better things to do with your time. So, with that having been said, this video is about Wiccan and Pagan Correspondence System, as I've been taught. Now before I begin, let me just say a little bit about myself, as this is my first video on this channel. I have completed I'm a Corellian Wiccan, first of all. I have completed the first degree, and I'm just coming to the end of my second degree studies. I'm finishing my final project for that, as well as I've completed over 30 other courses on the subject of paganism and Wicca and its traditions. So, to begin with, what is the Wiccan Correspondence System? The Wiccan Correspondence System is a mnemonic device, and for those of you who don't know what a mnemonic device is, that's a fancier way of saying a memory tool. Basically, it's just a way of seeing things. Now, the Wiccan Correspondence System stems off from a very basic and foundational beginning, and widens into a very diverse, broad, subtle field of knowledge as you get farther and farther into the study. And it's a study that goes on throughout your entire pagan and Wiccan life. It never ends, because you're always finding new correspondences. Everyone begins with the same ones, but it just keeps going and going and going, and you find new things that correspond to new things, which will correspond to other things, which will eventually correspond back to the beginning of this whole correspondence system. It's a very, very useful thing to have. And so, let's begin. Now, all Wiccan correspondence systems begin with 4 things that you already know. The 4 directions: north, east, west, and south. Now, why is that? Because the universe began with the 4 directions. The Big Bang is the 4 directions. It is expansion, and there can't be expansion without 4 directions for it to expand into. Now, you could get nitpicky about it and say that there are 1,000,000 directions, or that there's 8 directions, or that there's 16, or 464,322. I don't care. The basic way of looking at it is that there are 4 directions. It's a pretty easy way of saying stuff, if you ask me. So, from the 4 directions, 4 elements are correspond to them. Now, the elemental associations to the 4 directions, as I've been taught, is a very geographical affair. Depending on which or where the tradition originated from, different elements will be associated with different directions. In Europe, they associate a different direction with a different element, just as in Africa they associate a different direction with a different element, just as in Asia and India. I'm not sure in North America. I'm not sure. But it's very heavily based off of geography. For example, and to go into the first correspondence, in Europe, north is associated with the element of earth. Because when you go north in Europe, you find a lot of earth, and land, and earth, land, and stuff you can walk on. Okay, there's the North Sea, and there's the Arctic Circle. When you really get down to things, that's a lot of ice, and land, and earth. So it's earth in Europe. East is associated with air. Air is also associated with new beginnings, new ideas, concepts, thought, mentality, creation, dreaming, so on and so forth. And for the simple reason of the sun rising in the east. What do you think of when you see a sunrise? It's a new day, a new beginning, fresh start, a chance for something special to happen, a chance for anything to happen. East, air. Another reason for that? Well, the reason that I think, in old Europe, the East was associated with mystery, a lot of new thoughts, a lot of new ideas, a lot of things that people hadn't heard of before. So when you thought about the East, as a lot of people do today, Orientals, they kind of have a preconception of mystery, um, mysticism, hokey traditions that they don't understand. And so that's kind of the feel of East and air. Now for South, shit gets hot. Go south. Gets hot. Fire. Hot. South. Fire. Pretty simple. What does fire do? It transforms things. Fire is powerful. Fire is strong. Fire is precarious. It's useful. Fire is life-giving and life-taking, depending on how it's used and how it's treated. West, in Europe, if you go west, you find a lot of water. Sure, you could find water if you go east, but that's only after going to Asia, where those new ideas and stuff are. Go west in Europe, you find a lot of water, whether it be the Mediterranean or the Atlantic Sea or Atlantic Ocean. It's water, lots of it. Water, west. Both start with the same letter too. I found that helpful to remember. But water is all about getting to the bottom of things. What does water do? It will sink things. Things will go to the bottom of it. It hides things. We only know roughly a few percent of the creatures that live in the water because it's just so vast. It covers 2/3 of our planet. And yet we know so little about it. Mystery. Deep. Knowledge that is hidden. Piercing through what seems to be only to find what really is. Those kinds of things all have to do with water, as well as cycles. Water is all about cycles, as I'm sure you learned in science class. Cycles. Yeah. Now, from the four directions and the associations of the directions and the elements come the four tools for traditional Wiccan tools of the craft. Now, for East, if you can remember, the element is air. And the associations are new beginnings, ideas, creation, mentality, thought, so on and so forth. And all of those things are corresponded to the tool of the athame, the dagger, the ritual dagger. Now, this is never to be used to cut flesh, draw blood, perform sacrifice, so on and so forth. This is only used for energetic purposes, for casting a circle, invoking, devoking, evoking, so on and so forth. It is seen to be represented by the element of air because it pierces through things like thought does. It gets to the more accurate points of things. It's fine-pointed. It's honed, sharpened, with skill. You can't sharpen. If you've ever tried honing a blade, like a straight razor, I tried honing a straight razor that I got off of eBay, and holy crap, that was difficult. It takes skill. That is the kind of thing that this is associated with. Skill, thought, learning, mentality, beginning something. Those kinds of things. As well as, of course, air and east. Now, the element of fire in the direction of south is represented by the wand. Creation, manifestation, direction, concentration, yeah, basically. That's about what it is. Transformation. The wand can also be used to invoke, as invoking is considered a form of directing. Now, some people say that the wand is associated with air, while the athame is associated with fire. However, I, in my tradition, feel that the wand is associated with fire, the athame with air. This is partly because of a lot of ceremonial influences with other Wiccan traditions. If you're not familiar with ceremonialism is a very nitty-gritty, and forgive me, but I can't really find another way to explain it, materialistic kind of magic. It's kind of the kind of magic where it's like, if you don't say this in this way with these actions and these tools in this process with that sequence under these circumstances, it won't work. Whereas I believe in my tradition that ritual is an expression of the heart, and so long as it is true to your heart and speaks to you, that is what matters. Because magic comes from within. Belief comes from within. What you believe is real for you. So yeah, I believe that the wand is associated with fire, and that fire is associated with south, and so on. And I believe that the athame is associated with the east and air, and so on. Yeah. Next ritual tool is associated with water, the element of west, and obviously it is the chalice. Do I notice the water? The chalice is associated with anything that water is, and anything that the element of west is, as well as it is associated with the feminine. It is a very feminine symbol. The womb, motherhood. Well, not so much motherhood, that's more of earth. But in a sense it could be. It's also associated with reflection. Notice reflection. It's associated with mystery, with cycles, like I said, and it's used in ritual as an offering vessel, libations, so on. Anything that you could use a chalice for, that's what you'd use it for in ritual, and that's also what it would represent. And lastly, the pentacle, to represent earth. Now, I use a big-ass stone, because what else could represent the element of earth better than a big-ass stone? Now, the pentacle, or the pentagram as it's also known as, is a five-pointed star, and it represents the universe in totality, and the planet Earth. It's got 5 points for the 4 elements, and the 5th element of spirit, which travels through them and also creates them. So, yeah, when you think about it, Earth, that's basically what it is. That's all we know, is Earth. Astronauts might know more, through other lives you might know more, but consciously, we know Earth. That's all it is for us. And so the pentagram, or pentacle, represents Earth. I hope this video has proved useful for you, and may you blessed be. Thanks for watching.